Okay, so I did a commentary on Touhou 11 a while, let's say a couple of days ago, and I recently got 1cc in this, so I thought I'd do the same. Um, this game, I thought this game was harder than Touhou 11. I have to say now, the final boss is harder, but Touhou 11 is probably harder than this game. Anywho, this game actually has a lot of subtleties in regards to the UFO system. So that's as a rule of thumb, you always want to go for the red UFO. I mean, you only if you mess up, you can go for the other ones, but ideally you always want to go for the red one. There's really no need to pick up any of the other UFOs. If you're just going for 1cc, of course, you're going for high score, then that's a different deal. Here there's a more subtlety that you can do. There I don't do it very well, but you can wait a little in killing that fairy, and that way you can time it so you do at the same time Nazarene appears, and you can time it properly. The UFO you get from the fairy will be perfectly aligned on red by the time you kill Nazarene, and you'll get a free red UFO. I don't do it very well, but if you can do it, it's actually pretty nice. The ideal stage 1 in Touhou 12 involves finishing up with 4 lives and 2 red UFOs at the bottom left. If you finish with anything other than that, you did it suboptimally. As you can tell, I didn't do it too well. I am missing. I'm sorry, with 3 lives. 3 lives and 4 pieces, and 2 UFOs. Although by the end of this, if you don't die to Nazarene, you'll end up with 4 lives. So maybe I was right. Nazarene's spell cards and non-spell cards are nothing to worry about. They're pretty intuitive. Just there's a lot of save space, so just dodge. There isn't really much of a science to it. Most of the time you can just stick down to the bottom, and that's the easiest thing to do. It's easier to get cornered when you're in the bottom though, so keep that in mind. Now this spell card is a bit tricky. You have to go a little bit to the side in order to dodge the big red ores, but other than that, it's not a big deal. So there, I was right. You do end with 4 lives, and you do end with 4 lives. Only 1 UFO though. Ideally, you want to end with 2. Now here, this UFO can be actually quite tricky because it usually spawns in the middle of a lot of enemy fire. But just try to grab it, be brave about it. If you see that you cannot go for it though, like it's, you know, a bullet is right on top of it, don't risk it. This UFO shouldn't be an issue. Now this UFO is sort of weird. I think the game expects you to end up here with only 1 red UFO, but I often end up with 2. So this UFO is most likely gonna be wasted. So just accept that fact and don't even try to get it. This spell card is nothing too difficult. Stick down the bottom, dodge. Easy peasy. See? Nothing really to comment about there. You should get there with one. When you get there, you should be able to make a big UFO and make sure to kill the UFO to clear the screen. If you can manage, that's the thing about this game. If you can manage your UFOs accordingly, it shouldn't be an issue getting through some of these stages. Now, granted, some stages are harder than others, but for the most part, the UFOs will save you. This spell card requires a lot of mobility. As you saw, I went to the left, then to the right, and then went to the right, then to the left, and then back to the right. That's because you don't want to get. It's very easy to get cornered by those big circles, big round circles. So you have to kind of move so that you can avoid that. This spell card with Reimu B, which is what I'm using right now, it's pretty easy because you pretty much never have to be under Tatara in order to under Kogasa in order to kill her. Now this spell card, it's a bit tricky. Sticking down to the bottom is not often the best idea because you can get overwhelmed. Being like somewhere in the middle, somewhere where I am, is usually for the best. Sometimes you'll have to go a little bit further up, sometimes you'll have to go a little bit further down, but try to stay a little and not too far down the bottom. Now stage 3 can be a bit tricky. Let's see. You may get with 0 UFOs to this part, so that's. If you did better than I did, you get with 0 UFOs. Yeah, I just barely missed killing that. I was pretty salty about that, but whatever. I still lived. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're gonna die in order to kill the UFO, then what's the point of clearing the screen? Just always prioritize. Always make surviving a priority. After all, this is the most punishing Touhou game, I believe so, in terms of dying. It takes away 1 full power unit when you die. 1 full power unit, that's a lot. Especially considering that each red amulet only gives you 0.01 power, so it's not like you can recover power pretty easily, like in Touhou 10 or Touhou 11. There, I pick up the blue one because when there's an active UFO, you don't get the the blue UFO doesn't count towards your count. And even if it did, it'd be the first one, so you could just override it. I mean, if you're playing a Reimu B, this part is pretty easy. Maybe killing the UFO can be a bit tricky, but because you have to move to the sides, and the UFO usually stays in the middle. This spell card is just stick down the bottom and dodge. There isn't much science to it. Unfortunately, I didn't do a very good job. I read that poorly, and I had to bomb. But it's best to bomb than to die, you know. Her non-spell cards are not an issue. This spell card is pretty simple too. You just when you see the last fist, you go up. Then when you see those fists, the third fist, you go down, and then the last fist, you go up again. All while keeping track of the pink pellets. That timing is pretty easy to get down, so don't. So you shouldn't die. You shouldn't die too much to that spell card once you get it down. Now this spell card is pretty difficult. You're supposed to read the lasers, and as you read the lasers, you also have to constantly keep track of the fits that will pop to the side. So at times you have to go up and down. And no, those fists don't only appear down at the bottom. So they will actually they're actually fixed on your position. If you're higher up, they will be higher up, and if you're lower down, they will be lower down. Stage 4, make sure to kill the fairy in the middle first. In this part, stick to the right side. Make sure you stick to the right side because there's gonna appear one purple Jinjian, and it's gonna spawn that red UFO. That purple Jinjian will disappear almost immediately. So you have to be so sticking down to the right side is almost guarantees that you will kill that thing. There, I wasn't looking. I thought I had already dodged everything. That was just my fault. It's important to keep your attention where it should. Now, it's important that you get this part down. The reason being that you get a free 1-up at the end of it if you do it correctly. If you bomb once, you'll get a free bomb, but if you manage to just dodge it, the hardest part is this one, and even then this is not that hard to read. So there you go, that's your free 1-up. There, I could have probably dodged that, but I decided to bomb just for safety. Now this part I executed rather poorly. I didn't even notice that I pick up the blue UFO. And here you see me bomb unnecessarily. Oh no, I die unnecessarily even. That's even worse. Just because I was getting greedy with the UFOs. Do not get greedy with the UFOs. That's the #1 cause of death in this game. And here I do something pretty stupid. I thought that I'm already safe. And I died to one of the small pellets. Oh no, never mind, I bombed. Okay, no, never mind. I thought that must have been another try. But I bombed. There was no need for that. I was just greedy to get all the UFOs. Now, Murasa has some pretty tricky spell cards. Her non-spell cards are not really an issue as long as you can read. And they don't really have a method. You just stick down the bottom and read them accordingly. Now this spell card you have to make sure to read the bullets going down to the sides. Sometimes Murasa will launch her anchor all the way to the other side. That actually makes it easier because it's easier to dodge bullets coming from top to bottom than bullets coming from one side to the other. That was pretty poor reading on my part. I died, but that's alright. Now this spell card can be a bit tricky. Just appropriate reading. The bullets will come from fixed directions and you have to dodge them accordingly. I get a bit overwhelmed and I decide to panic bomb. I was in no risk of dying there. Just panic bombing every once in a while is fine, especially when you have 6 lives like I did right here. Now this spell card is pretty hard because you have to you have to dodge pellets and at the same time those anchors, which are another headache in and of themselves. There, that's just poor movement. Sometimes, even when you play a lot of Touhou, sometimes you don't iron out every single movement, and sometimes your finger goes a little too far down. Now, this is a survival spare card. It can be pretty. It can be pretty difficult. The idea of it is just you try to go around in order to dodge this spell card, but it's pretty difficult because as you have to move around, you also have to keep track of the of Murasa's new bullets. Now here, this beginning part I played pretty poorly. You're supposed to be fast enough to get both of those UFOs. I wasn't. And I tried to shoehorn it in and I end up dying because of it. If the plan doesn't work, just abort it. Trying to do this improvised shit when I... Oh, sorry for the language. Trying to do this improvised stuff with trying to get the UFO is more risky than you would think. There, I decided to go for the rainbow UFO. I don't know if that was the best idea, but I thought that I could get it one free UFO. Unfortunately, there were no enemies, so I didn't get much value out of it. I only got one UFO. Now, Nasreen became a sub-boss in Stage 5. She's a lot harder, as you can tell. Now she's still not too hard. Reading those pink lasers can take a bit of practice, but they go in a straight line in a fixed position, and then they're fixed, so they can be easily dodged. This part can take a bit of practice. This spell card can take a bit of practice, but in all honesty, there are huge safe spots, and as you can tell, the bullets always go in a very defined relative direction. So dodging this is not too difficult, and you should have one free UFO here. Now, there isn't a trick to this. You just see stuff coming down towards you and you dodge it. Stick down the middle to kill the most amount of enemies and make your headache the least possible. Now here I mess up. I shouldn't have stick down to the top. I should have went to one side in order to bait all the bullets. But I managed to dodge it, so that's fine. Now this non-spell card, it's actually harder than it looks. You basically want to read those pink lasers. Those pink lasers are what most often gonna kill you. But I failed at killing those lasers, at reading those lasers, so I ended up dying. This spell card is pretty much the same as Nasreen's spell card, which means it's not that hard. I bombed there. I'm not sure for what reason I bombed there. I was in no risk of dying. It was probably just a panic bomb. So that's perfectly fine. This spell card is said to be easier than the first one, but somehow I do worse. I bombed because of panic, no other reason. This spell card, you have to keep in mind that you constantly have to go up. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed. Just find a way to go up. There's plenty of space. There's plenty of time in between the lasers. Just don't panic. Start making your way up. Try not to go too far up, or else some stuff becomes a little too difficult to dodge. Now this non-spell card is sorta RNG. It's not too difficult, but I do end up dying here, there. I'm pretty sure that a better player could have done that without dying. Now this spell card, to be frank, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. I recommend just bombing it. You have a bomb, just bomb that spell card. It's my personal advice. If anybody has a way to figure if anybody has figured that spell card out other than just going around it, feel free to tell me. But it is pretty difficult, even if that's what you have to do. That spell card, there's no real method to it. You just see bullets, you dodge them. So not much to say. Some of the thing about Touhou 12 that a lot of the stuff is very simple. Can be a bit overwhelming, but it's very, very simple. There I decided to go to for the green UFO because I have it for free. And I didn't have any other UFO, so what's the point of keeping the UFO? There I make a mistake and I pick up the UFO that I shouldn't. There I make a red UFO. Unfortunately, that wasn't the best timing because there aren't that many enemies to defeat the UFO with. So I just get one star piece instead of two. It is enough to get me one extra life though, and that's pretty much all you can get from stage 6. By the way, this music is amazing. Now, same concept as before. Although I'm not sure about in this one. I've never failed this part, so I don't know if you can get anything other than full power at the end. But regardless, you'll get full power at the end. So I get here with 4 bombs and full power. So let's see how I do. Now this first non-spell card, you're usually fine just fitting in between some of this stuff. Alternatively, you can also do this spell card by moving all the way from one side to the other. Now this spell card is sorta RNG, sorta, because sometimes you'll get some pretty difficult patterns which are, I'm not gonna say impossible, but a lot more difficult to do. Ideally, you wanna move alongside the purple orbs, I suppose, the purple mini orbs. But I don't do a very good job, but I die at it. Now this non-spell card is stop and go, stop and go. When the lasers are about to materialize, you go. But as you see, I don't move too much. Moving too much would make this a little too difficult. And another stop and go spell card. There's an audio cue, so react to the audio cue. Use the audio cue in order to make dodging a lot easier. Stop and go. The lasers are gonna materialize after the laser sound effect has finished. So just stop and go. This non-spell card can be a bit overwhelming. Just keep calm. Unfortunately, I don't read it too well. I death bomb though, so that's not too terrible. There's no method for this spell card that I found. The only way to do it is to just do it. That was pretty poor on me. I didn't read that correctly, and and I ended up dying to that. This is probably her hardest non-spell card. It's okay to bomb it once and try to make it so that you only bomb it once. Ideally, the way you do it is by bombing when it's right at the bottom. Wait. Now this spell card is sort of self-explanatory. You have to bait those orbs a little towards the side, and then you can fit through the middle. I'm not doing too great a job at it, but alternatively you can just go down, and that way you'll get enough space in order to dodge those red orbs. It is a pretty naughty spell. It's a spell card though. It is a very naughty one. Now this spell card is kind of a troll. It's basically a survival spell card. If you're good at reading, this would be super easy. There was a very clear safe space. Here I do a very bad job of reading this, and I end up dying right there. There's just stick to the bottom. Don't lose your focus. Keep calm. There was a perfectly fine safe spot there. There was no need for me to bomb, but I was very close to my very first 1cc, so I think I can be excused for a little nervousness. Now her final spell card, Flying Fantastica. It's pretty hard. It's an anti-bomb spell card, so as you saw there, the only reason to bomb is to save your life. Do not bomb for damage. That's not gonna work. I actually did a pretty poor job there. I should have saved my bomb. Just keep to the bottom. There, I went too far to the right. I should have just stick down to the middle. Here I have 2 more bombs, but these are the last 2 bombs that I have. It doesn't even clear the screen, so I don't even think to bomb for that. The only reason to bomb here is to save your life, or to keep you calm, I guess. There, I'm impressed I didn't die there. I should have died there. But regardless, I ended up killing Hijiri with 0 bombs and 0 lives. So, thanks for watching. Especially if you managed to get to the end of the video, and take care.